What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? Real Talk with Rich is back in the building one more again. Man, oh man, first of all, it's good to be here. Happy Sunday. Want to shout out to Black Comic Lords, Black Superheroes Forever fam. Want to take the time also to salute each and every one of you that are joining us on tonight. While we in here, coming in, come on in, come on in. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And again, if you are capable of, please bless us with a super chat. It goes to keep the channel going. It goes to keep our website, which is blackcomiclords.net, afloat. It helps us to do the mission and the work that we're doing here at Black Comic Lords. So please, please, please tell a friend, tell a hater, we do not care. But what we do care about is you. And we thank you for being with us on tonight. And tonight's show is going to be a little different because I kind of was thinking about things as I was getting ready to, check in or tap in, I should say. And I just said to myself, based on what I've kind of experienced in the last couple of days or so, on a personal level, I'm not going to do a regular show tonight. Just not going to do that. I had a plethora of articles I was going to share and talk about, but I told Derek, our super dope producer, no, Derek, we're going to do something different tonight. So tonight we're going to just kind of talk, and we're going to get out the way. With that said, you know what I'm saying, I want to welcome each and every one of you that are here. Bo Big, what's good? F.A. Earthman, what's good? Pericles, what's going on? Robin Monroe Jr., salute. For the rest of y'all that's on y'all way in, come on in. Yeah, take a load off. We're going to get into some stuff, and, we're just going to talk comics tonight. Going to be comic intensive tonight in terms of the discussion. I have a few things on my mind, and, we're going to get to it. So, before I get into the show itself, what up, Amir, 1 in 100 podcast in the building. Y'all please go check out my man Amir on his podcast, 1 in 100 podcast. He has a dope show. It is my writing, entertainment on my way to work. You know what I'm saying? I like to tap in with my man. So wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever you get your podcast, y'all go in and check out my man Amir at 1 in 100 podcast. You will not be disappointed. So before we get into the actual show itself, I want to just give you I like to kind of sometimes share tidbits of my life and things that go on. And so yesterday morning, around 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up. I'm usually up at 4:30 every morning. And regardless if I got to work or not, for whatever reason, my body clock taps in at 4:30. And so I was up actually an hour or two early, about 2:30 in the morning. I was doing some reading. Went to bed. I was already in bed, didn't want to get up, so I decided to do some reading. So I have this nice little fancy light that I like to wrap around my neck. Keeps the house dark, keeps the room dark, and so I don't disturb my wife, that kind of thing. So I was just doing some reading for school, and I went back to sleep. Woke up again, like I say, about 4:30, and woke up with a pain in my back, a numbing pain, a familiar pain, but I wasn't sure. Sure enough, the pain begins to really intensify. I wake up, I try to do some devotionals, some sitting, trying to get prepared to do a sermon. Sure enough, the pain kind of kicks in. By 7 o'clock, I wake up my wife. I say, yo, we got to go to the emergency room. I don't know what's going on. So I go to the emergency room. But while I'm on my way there, I hit up some preacher friends of mine and I asked them to, for prayer because I'm on my way to the ER. I don't know what's going on. I had an idea, but I wasn't 100% sure. To just give you some backstory, I have had kidney stones. I have a history of kidney stones. Now, I haven't had a kidney stone episode in about 15 years. Okay. But if you've ever had a kidney stone, there is a 50% chance you're going to get another one in your life. That's just kind of how this thing goes. Now, how do kidney stones stick? Not drinking enough water, drinking apple juice, or too much stuff. Anyway, it's basically calcium that builds up and that crystallizes and kind of becomes a cluster or a little stone, a little pebble or whatever. And it hurts to like hell. Okay. It's just no joke. This pain is ridiculous. So, but I did make a point to call us, reach out to some preacher friends of mine and say, pray for me, that kind of thing. And so they did. And so by the time I got to the emergency room and filled out the paperwork, sat down to get ready to go in the back, my pain was gone. Okay. Not only that, I go to the back, right? And I'm talking to the nurse, telling her what's going on and that kind of thing. And the nurse looks at me and she says, "You're very calm for someone who's here because of kidney stones." I was like, yeah, this is kind of bizarre. I've never had this kind of experience before. Of course, I knew that it was prayers that kind of had me there. And so I had no pain. And so up to this point, I'm trying, because when you have a kidney stone episode, your body feels like it needs to urinate, but you can't. Okay, for whatever reason, it trickles. It's not no regular urine flow. And like I said, you're in pain because remember, I'm trying to pass a stone. Okay, not fun at all. So I go to the restroom to give this nurse some urine. Not only do I fill the cup up, but I pass the stone. No pain whatsoever. And so that was yesterday morning. And so after that situation or whatever, I get back home. I'm thankful to God for his healing power and the prayers of the saints. I get back home and I said, you know what? I'm not going to sit here today and be, lollygag. I went out and I went to the comic shop and I went and dug in some bins. So that's what I did. There's a young man whose name was Maddie, little kid who passed away, was a child. He had a degenerative disease. And he said that, he always said, or he always remembered to do this one thing after a storm. He said, always play after a storm. And so that was a very, very excruciating pain. And I didn't want to sit around or whatever. I didn't want no grass to grow up under my feet. I didn't want to just like sit around and just, because after you pass this thing or whatever, now you're pissing like a racehorse. But you don't have any pain. But here's the funny thing about it. I thought it was initially a kidney stone. And what I began to do was drink a lot of water. I drank a lot of water and I wound up throwing up the water. Now, that right there shows you, I don't know if you ever just threw up water or vomited water. You think that it would be easy. But throwing up water is not fun at all. It's just like any vomit or whatever, you know what I'm saying, whether it's alcohol or whatever. It's not fun. But I literally puked up my guts. And so after that, I'm like, okay, all right, But yeah, I made a point to go dig in some dollar bins, man. I wasn't going to not celebrate what God had did for me, because that pain ain't no other. If you know anybody who's had kidney stones, salute, because that ain't no pain you want to deal with. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on my worst. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. You know what I'm saying? Had to give my testimony before I get into the show. So to start the show off, I want to right now send my condolences to the George Foreman family. All right. George Foreman, heavyweight champion of the world, undisputed grilling champion, passed away and at the age of 76 years old. And, I want to salute, this is a hero. I know people have a fondness for Ali and their rumble in the jungle and that kind of thing. And, George Foreman, was the H-Town boy. So I got to represent the H always, Fifth Ward. And, but this is a guy who had two careers, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm going to take it back. He had three careers. He was a heavyweight champion. Then he retired. He began to be a pastor. And then he went back to the ring and won the heavyweight championship again. And after winning the heavyweight championship again, he decided to, start doing, Foreman grills. I don't know if you got one, but I have one at my house. And those grills were very, very amazing to cook burgers on and that kind of thing. You can do all kind of stuff with this, but my Foreman grill is my burger grill. Take some turkey burger, take some ground turkey and make it happen. Good burger, good eating. So yeah. So shout out to him and his family. Olympic gold medalist, the whole 9 yards, great hero. As I always like to say, one thing we don't in the Black community is that we don't starve for heroes. I know a lot of people want to see themselves in comic books. They want to see themselves on the big screen. They want to see themselves in cartoons. But we have real heroes that we can reach out and touch and learn and deal with. So yeah. So shout out to him. George Foreman, salute. Rest in power. And I thank God that you were an example of an amazing Black man. You graduated from this life to your reward. So we salute the king that is George Foreman. With that said, guys, I could talk boxing, but I'm not going to get into that because I got to say that Foreman was, that era of boxing that Foreman was in, you got to understand that was Foreman, that was Ali, that was Norton. The heavyweight division was stacked back in the day. Frazier, I'm like, bruh, the heavyweight era has not been the same. After Tyson kind of drifted away, so to speak, the heavyweight division was never the same. But, we never talk about, boxing eras like that. Because like we talk about Jordan, was Jordan the greatest of all times? Could Jordan have played with, Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell and that kind? But we don't really do that with boxers. And the reason why we don't really do that with boxers is because, particularly in the heavyweight division, is that the heavyweight division was stacked. Go back and go get some of them old Ring magazines, and I watched all this boxing when I as a kid growing up. Because here's the thing, and corporate interests. I can't stand corporate interests at times because there was no such thing as pay-per-view back in the day. I saw George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier on regular TV. Okay. There was no cable TV, was no pay-per-view events. You didn't have to pay your cable company $35, $45, $100 or whatever it is they're paying now to watch a fight. When by the time Tyson kind of came in with his wave or whatever, everything was pay-per-view. But back in the day, you put on CBS. There's George Foreman. There's Ali. So that was one of the best eras for us boxing in the heavyweight division is concerned. Now, don't get it twisted. There's some good fighters out here today, but the heavyweight division back in the day, amazing. Smoking Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton. Ugh. Norton broke Ali's jaw. So, yeah. Bo Big says fights used to be on Wild World of Sports. Yes, sir. Shout out, rest in peace to Howard Cosell. Yeah, that was back in the day, man. H&H brings up Larry Holmes. Yeah, Larry Holmes kind of caught the end of that. And it's so weird, too, because Don King, if you ever get a chance, guys, go back and watch the old Don King HBO movie that Ving Rhames starred in as Don King. You get a lot of history of boxing promotion in that. Don King was say what you want about Don, but Don King gave us a lot of sports entertainment. He was responsible for the Rumble in the Jungle. And, all the shenanigans go there. His crazy hair or whatever. But go back if you can find that HBO show or HBO movie that Ving Rhames playing Don King. That's a good movie for sure. So, yeah, if but like I say, I can talk boxing, but we're not a boxing show. We're a comic book show. So let's just get into some chat talk tonight. Like I said, I'm not going to be here long tonight. But before I do that, what I want to do is shout out to Stranger Comics and Sebastian and the good folks over at Stranger Comics. Yesterday, Stranger Con took place, and Black Comic Lords was a part of that event. And there is a new Kickstarter that the people over at Stranger Comics are doing right now. Derek is going to put the link in the chat. So if you want to support this, well, I'm tripping over my words tonight. If you want to support this Kickstarter, go to that link and, get you some goodness, man. Shout out to Sebastian and all his crew over there. They have some amazing comic book covers. His stuff is top notch, and the artwork is always crazy, and the writing on these books are phenomenal. So, but Black Comic Lords did a portion of Stranger Con with Sebastian on yesterday, and from what I heard, it was a real good time. And so shout out to them over there, man. So y'all go and support Stranger Comics. If you are someone who likes fantasy and all of that, what I'm saying, Stranger Comics is the I would say the flagship of that in when it comes to that genre of comic book reading. You will not be disappointed. The art is amazing, and it's different styles is what I love about it. It's very varied, but very dope imagery. So yeah, man, shout out to them. So yeah, what we're gonna do after this, we're gonna reset, get in the chat talk. We're gonna run a commercial break. We only 18 minutes in, but like I say, we're only here for a little while tonight. So we're gonna be chat talk intensive night. Gonna talk comic books and that kind of thing. So we're gonna run a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna get into a little thing, something on my heart, and we're gonna talk to you guys about what you're reading and what's going on and that kind of thing. And we're gonna get out the way. So be right back with you in a hot second.
Everybody, my name is Dennis Cowan, and I'm a Black Comic Lord.
I'm Eve Ewing, and this is the Black Comic Lords.
My name is Rodney Barnes, and I am a Black Comic Lord.
Hey, this is Marcus Williams, aka Marcus the Visual, and I am Black Comic Lord.
I am Stephanie Williams, and I am a Black Comic Lord.
Shout out to the Black Comic Lords for having me on the show, and also for being true believers in every aspect of comic books and nerd culture.
My name is Blur Without Fear, and I'm a Black Comic Lord.
I'm Jeffrey Thorne, and I am a Black Comic Lord. Black Comic Lords for life. Let's go. BCL for life, baby.
My name is Joe Illage, and I'm a Black Comic Lord.
Yo, Black Comic Lords.
My name is Lonzo Starr, and I am a Black Comic Lord. You dig?
Hey, y'all know it's me. This is OMG, and this is Black Comic Lords.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Newton Lillavois, and I'm a Black Comic Lord.
Yep. Let me read this, and I'm a Black Comic Lord.
My name is Muriwaya Dele, and I'm a Black Comic Lord.
Hi, I'm Dotun Akonde, and I'm a Black Comic Lord.
My name is Roosevelt Pitt
Jr., owner of Amara Entertainment LLC, and I'm proud to say I am a Black comic lord.
I'm Tony Cottrell of Advent Comics, and I'm a Black comic lord.
I am Professor John Jennings, and I'm a Black comics lord.
I am Todd Johnson, and I am a Black comic lord, and it's all about the comics.
My name is Greg Burnham, and I am a Black comic lord.
All right, I'm David Crowdson, and I'm a Black comic lord.
Hello, this is Larry Fuller, creator of Evan, with a shout out to the fine folks at Black Comic Lords. Keep up the good work.
Hello, I am Sherilyn Eden. I am a writer, and I am also a Black comic lord.
I'm Larry Stromer, and I'm a Black comic lord.
Black comic lords.
Hey everybody, this is Sean Martinborough, and I am a Black comic lord.
I am Sean Damian Hill, and I am a Black comic lord.
But do it enthusiastic.
I'm Brandon Thomas, writer, creator of comics, and I am a Black comics lord.
My name is Frederick Littles, and I am a Black comic lord.
My name is Aletha Martinez, and I am a Black.
My name is Daryl Banks, and I am a Black comic lord.
I am Carla, aka Moon the Storyteller, and I am a Black comic lord.
My name is Morgan Hampton, and I am a Black comic lord.
My name is Brandon Easton, and I am a Black comic lord.
I'm Brian Hill, and I'm a Black comic lord.
My name is Tim Fielder. I am a Black comic lord.
Hi, my name is Angelique Roche, and I am a Black comic lord.
This is Ray Anthony Hyde, and I am a Black comic lord.
I'm Andrew Dahlhaus. I'm a Black comic lord.
All right. Hey, my name is Sanford Green, artist, illustrator, and I am a Black comic lord.
I am TJA Comics, and this way.
I am Erica.
I am Candace, aka DJ Candy Crush.
And we are
Black comic lords.
Black comic lords.
My name is Charles Stewart III, and I am a Black comic lord.
I am Chris Cross. I am now a Black comic lord because I am now family, and so are you.
Black comic lords.
Black comic lord. Solid.
Subscribe now. Yeah.
Yeah. Too good, y'all. Too good. Black comic lords. So, you know, I had a conversation yesterday with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about the art, the fandom, and you know, being a Black comic lord. I'm gonna be a little transparent. I'm gonna get to your question in a minute, Pericles, but let me get this out. Make sure we hold this comment, Derek. So I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday. We were talking about, you know, the comics and the fandom and art and that kind of thing, and what goes into it, and talked about a lot of different things. But one of the things that kind of came out of our discussion was, you know, the essence, you know, the fundamental, the essence, the basics, the essence of just being a comic book reader, a comic book enjoyer, somebody that just loves to read comics. You know, and I was talking to him, and I made the statement that, you know, God has a ill sense of humor. And Derek, I know I'm asking you to do something, but I want you to see if you can find a cover of a book. The book is by Kiana Whitted. Keanu Whittick's book. The name of the book, I don't want to jump up and get it. I just want you to get the cover of it. See if I can bring up the name of it so it'll be a little bit easier. To find. Know if it's there it is. Desegregating comics. Now, I put this cover up because I want you guys to look at the little girl. I want you to look at the little girl, and I want you to really see what I see when I see this picture. I see a little girl sitting alone with a comic book in her hand and a smile on her face. And that, my brothers and sisters, is all I want to do in this fandom. I was saying earlier that God has a sense of humor. Because I've been one of those people that say that when I was a kid, I didn't have nobody to read comic books or share comic books with. So I'm so happy I found my tribe. I'm so happy I got so many, relationships. I got so many different friends and so many different associates and I know so many artists and I know so many people now. And it's cool. It is really cool. And the funny thing is, I said God has a sense of humor because I was foolish to think that back in the day when I was that kid that had my comic books and I had nobody to share with, God was laughing at me, basically bringing me to the realization that that was probably the happiest I would ever be. The happiest I would ever be, to be alone with a comic book and my imagination. And comics have now become something different. You could take it off, Derek. Thanks a lot for showing that, brother. Now it's something different. And I gotta say that being around this fandom can be toxic. People can have good intentions. I can see someone that has good intentions. And if I'm not careful, I can also be toxic in this fandom. It's interesting that the happiest I am in this space is not when I'm talking about comic books or talking about artists or talking about characters. I'm the happiest just simply reading my comic books. I can have thoughts about story arcs. I can have thoughts about the art. I can have thoughts about, well, I think the writer should have did this, or I can have thoughts about anything that's connected to this. I can have thoughts about what's happening in the MCU. I can have thoughts about all of these different things, but none of it really matters to me. I'm somebody that has said and has gone on record that I am black pill when it comes to this stuff. I just don't have the optimism that some people have. And what I mean by that is that people are going to, Marvel is going to do what Marvel is going to do. DC is going to do what DC is going to do. The only thing that I can do, the only power that I can have is I can either try to enjoy or I can go back and just dig in some back issues and do that and collect from that aspect. But I see so much stuff. Black Comic Lords came online a few years ago with a mission to help the Black comic book community collect better, be better. And so here we are a few years later, and I'm looking at the landscape of it all and what we've trying to build and still to this day in building it. And I say to myself, are we better off now than we were? And I can't answer that. I can't answer that in the affirmative. I can't. I can only speculate. No pun intended. I can only think or ponder that we're better off now than we were a few years ago. I just want to get back to the source of what it means to be a fan in this space. To just pick up a comic book and to just enjoy it with my soda, my tea, my water, my music, and just enjoy and smile and laugh and cry by what I read and what I see. That's what I want to do. I want to do that more than anything. I've learned something about this whole process. I've learned something about myself. I'm not big on cons. I'm not big on a lot of different spec stuff. I'm really am a reader at heart. And so for me, it's about comic book reading, and everything else has to get in line behind that. And so while I can, participate in this fandom on a corporate level through this medium of BCL, I also realize that, for the most part, that it's still for me, and we say it all the time, it's about the comics, but I ask myself, is it really? Is it really about the comics? I just wonder. 101 podcast, your comment, I collect comics to read them. I'm not a spec guy. I only do cover buys for books I'm going to read. Yeah, I and that's the thing too. If you want to participate in the specs part of that as a fan, anybody, that's fine. You can do that or whatever. But we always because what a book that you might think is fire and you think that's going to go up in price, it might fall the next day. We just do not know with some of this stuff. Now, that's how I see this thing. It's interesting because, all of the nuances that go into this fandom or whatever, it can make you a cynic. You can become very cynical just being around certain elements. You ask yourself, what's it really? What am I in this really for? Am I really enjoying the stories that are being told, and am I really getting my money's worth out of these buys? I'm spending my money and for these books, and am I really getting what I want, or is the spec game, or is the MCU talk, is the the comic book medium or the media, is it taking me away, or places like YouTube, is it taking away from what I really enjoy? So it's interesting. So let me get to some of these comments. So I just wanted to kind of share that. What I'm getting at, guys, ultimately is collect what you love, enjoy, and do not allow the away games, and do not allow the opinions and the thoughts of said commentator, influencer, whomever, me, do not allow us to cloud your fandom. Enjoy what you enjoy. Enjoy what you enjoy. I'm going to try to get back to that little guy, that 7, 8-year-old in his room with his shoebox full of comics. I'm trying to get back to that guy. I'm going to let y'all do what y'all going to do. I'm going to get back to that guy. I'm going to get back to reading comics and keeping my mouth shut about the stuff that I really, be honest with you, don't care about. A lot of this stuff I just do not care about. I don't care about the first appearance of a skillet in a Steel comic book. I don't care that T'Challa is being dragged through the mud. I'm sorry, Black Panther fans. I just don't care anymore. I want to get back to reading Black Panther stories, whether it's Jungle Action, whether it's Doom War or whatever. Well, y'all wait for that to happen. I'm gonna be over here reading back issues. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. And holler at your boy when y'all get when something different comes up. I just want to get back to the basics, back to the essence of why I love comic books. So when I was putting together this show tonight, I said to myself, you know what? I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about the first look at Ironheart. The first, no, not interested. No. I want to talk about books. That's what I want to talk about. So, going back to Pericles' comment, he asks what my thoughts about SZA playing Storm. I don't know SZA. I really, to be honest, nah. She would be my first choice. I'll say it like that. I'm again, Pericles, no disrespect, bro, but I just don't care. I'm just at the point where I don't care. I don't care about the fan cast and stuff. Because when we talk about this fan cast and stuff, junk like colorism comes up. Well, she can't be too dark, or she can't be too light. She can't be this or whatever. Like the stuff that happened with Jon Stewart. When they casted Jon Stewart for Lanterns or whatever, and people were upset about the character or the actor that got casted, that kind of thing, and it gets real weird, and people start projecting and interjecting their particular thoughts or philosophies or agendas into it. So I'm just like, I'm just tired of all of that, bro. So I know that wasn't your angle with this or whatever, but with SZA being Storm, could she do it? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not a SZA fan, so Jodie Turner-Smith would be my first choice. But yeah. So yeah. So what else we got, Derek? What else we got, bro? I don't want to miss the comments tonight. Let's see. Anthony Manzano, he said, when you said the reason why comic books for Latino or Black characters don't sell when they are the main lead and not backup, it's because of melanin. I thought you were just making a joke. Listen, the dominant culture is white and male. It's not that people, Black people, brown people, and others of people of color don't want to buy comic books. All of us buy comic books. They just happen to buy more comic books because it's more of them. And this medium is literally driven toward them. I was going to talk about tonight, DC is getting ready to revamp their DC in the Universe type deal. The history of the DC Universe. And the history of the DC Universe was a comic book that came out a few years ago, and the characters in that particular book are very white. It is a very white book. There's no black folk, no Hispanic or Latino folk in that book at all. And I have the original history of DC Universe books, and it talks about the history of the DC, continuity and that kind of thing. It's very white. Got to remember, these books came out these characters started in like 1938, 1940. So the world kind of revolved around white culture at the time, if I can say it like that. It was their invention. It was their thing. That's what they did. Now, when it comes to us as people of color, buying books, is just not a lot of us out here that buy. And here's the thing too. We're literally talking about black people. Black people are like 14% of the population. That's our buying power in comics. It reflects the same thing. Black people love comic books too. There's just not enough of us to make a quote unquote difference in terms of the sales data. The sales data for these books tell the tale. Black Panther is one of the most incredible, amazing characters that Marvel has. But you cannot find a Black Panther book in the top 10, the top 20, the top 50 in the history of Marvel Comics. That book literally hovers between 50 and 100. If you get all the black people to buy a Black Panther comic book, that book will still hover around that. Because again, who's buying these books matters. But it also matters who's not buying these books. I can't expect a white guy from Iowa to have an affinity for something that I like. He may not feel like it's for him, or he can't learn it. We don't have that experience. We love comic books just because they could too, and they could learn a few things. But this generation has smeared everything to be it's not white, male, and straight. Everything is woke. That's how they see it. And it's disturbing. It's not right. It's not fair, but it is what it is. Now, he also says, I'm Latino, and I kind of wish there were more representation in comics for Latino characters. Let me tell you something about that, Anthony. There are Latin characters, but here is the truth of the matter. You're going to have to find them. They're not going to put it out there that these characters exist. Black Comic Lords, one of our missions has been to highlight Black characters, because people don't realize Dr. John Jennings and Angelique Roche are getting ready to release a book called My Superhero is Black, which is going to show that they have over 300 Black characters in Marvel Comics. Wouldn't know that. Nobody would know that unless you do the research. So I'm going to tell you, bro, to do the research. The characters are out there. You just got to find them. Should you get more? Absolutely. Should more be highlighted? Absolutely. But I'm going to be honest with you. It's like what we had to do. I want to shout out my man over at, guys, what's the name of the website? World of Black Comic Heroes. Can't think of his, let me see if I can pull up his, I want to give him the proper due, because he did an amazing thing. think it's called worldofblackheroes.com. And nope, that is not it. Yes, worldofblackheroes.com. That's the name of the website. Worldofheroes.com. This website is literally a database for Black superheroes. Shout out to my man who put this together. Great brother. And he covers a lot of bases. And so he is literally a one-man machine. He's probably got some other people working for him. But he, has put together this thing. And the reason why Black Comic Lords is even a thing, I'm going to be honest, is we had cats like this to help us kind of show us that it was possible for us to be able to even mine out the zeitgeist, if I can say it like that. You know what I'm saying? So those Latin characters, the Latino characters that you're talking about, bro, they're probably a lot more than you aware of. That's my point. You just got to dig for them, sir. Just got to dig for them, Anthony. You got to search. I mean, and the thing is, does it make it right? No, it doesn't. Should there be more? Absolutely. When you talk about Latin characters, Milestone had Latin characters. Many people at that time did not know, that there was such a thing. But Milestone did so much back in the day, back in the 90s, that this generation, this industry, I should say, is still catching up to Milestone. This is weird to me, but yeah. So Damon said, Damon Watson said, spec is fun, but you do have to know the Black-centered books will struggle for lack of broader support. No matter what, you have to only buy what you like. This is true. And see, this is the thing too. I'm going to just say this, that in liking what you buy, it's kind of like, for example, to buy a Black book because it's Black people is okay. I wouldn't recommend that to be a practice. And the reason why I'm saying that is because everybody that's quote unquote Black ain't good. There's some books or some IPs that are stellar that you should go after versus everybody. I'm a Black man. I got a Black comic book. Buy my book. You can sell that, but your selling point need to be how good is your book? How good is your art? How good is, that kind of thing. And you can give people chances to show you, and that you're good, or that you're, that your book has industry standards in it, things of that nature. But it's important to realize and acknowledge that this is an art first and foremost. And so because it's art first and foremost, you need to know that it has to stand up to a certain standard or whatever. We joke all the time that people submit art to us and comic books to us that look like a 5-year-old did. And it is what it is. But I can't, in good faith, tell you something. If something I know is whack, I'm not going to recommend it. I'm just not. I'm not going to criticize it. Not going to, blow it out, or whatever. Now, if it comes from the big two, that's fair game. But, I don't really like, airing out somebody's comic book. You know what I'm saying? I try to enjoy and try to find merit in everything. But at the same time, it is art, and which means that standards, skills matter when it comes to this. And then Ozana says, Rich, Big George didn't get popular until after he retired because he was very standoffish throughout his career to fans or the media. Do you agree? I think that with George Foreman, some of that was because of the situation that happened with Ali. Ali was the people's champ, and George Foreman was this guy who did not necessarily. He wasn't. Not that he wasn't standoffish or whatever, but you know, every athlete or every person is not. I won't say sociable, but he wasn't. Not like Ali was. Ali was, you know, he was among the people. He ran when he was training in Ghana, or you know, for the not Ghana, Kenya, I think it was. When he was training and that kind of thing, he was just among the people. He was considered to be the people's champ. Foreman was, even though Foreman didn't want a gold medal. I mean, it is what it is. And he didn't get popped until after he did retire. That is very, very true. But you know, that had to kind of do with people liking Ali more than him. And so he never, I won't say he never forgave that, or he never recovered from that, or he never got over that. I think he most certainly did, because he made made a ton of money with the grills, and he was on every infomercial back in the day for sure. But yeah, that's definitely true. So Damon says, if you're only in it for the money, you'll lose unless you're becoming a flipper and dealer. The real win is in buying what you love. Yes. Some comic books are going to give you the feels, and some comic books are going to give you, you know, I would say not the feels. I mean, we have a lot of comic books. If you're a collector, you may have a lot of comic books in your collection. Like, you read the book, you enjoy it for the moment you got it, and you put it in a long box or a short box, and you'll never read that comic again. But it is amazing when you find a comic book and you enjoy the story, you enjoy the art, and you go back to it and you can reread that book over and over and over. All the milestone stuff, especially the Icon and Blood Syndicate books, I can reread those all the time. They are timeless in my humble opinion. Some of the Static stuff as well, even though I think Static is the chief, you know, book, and I love Hardware, you know, for sure. But those books, Icon and Blood Syndicate, in my humble opinion, they were so special. They had so much in them that, you know, they still resonate with me to this day. Michael Acevedo says, I enjoy character/story-based comics over the event-driven issue. I find now, as a 52-year-old man, I follow creators I enjoy, that I like their voice and vision. Absolutely. I'm kind of the same way. Rodney Barnes is my favorite comic book writer, even though that he hadn't wrote nothing. And I need my Rodney, where's my Philadelphia, bro? I'm just saying. So Anthony says, Rich, I want your thoughts. I think the character that Denzel is going to play in Black Panther 3 is Sebastian Druid, the leader of the Raxon. Remember, he says it's a character that nobody suspects. I think that would be cool. I kind of hope he was going to play Achebe, because I think Denzel could pull off Achebe's. I think he could pull off his character. Now, what's funny is that according to IMDb, they did cast a character, or they did cast Achebe in the original Black Panther movie. I remember my man Herschel showed it to me, but clearly didn't nobody know that was Achebe, okay? So if they could recast or retcon or whatever they need to do or whatever, and bring that story in with Achebe, I tell y'all, Christopher Priest is the dude that keeps on giving. And Achebe would be a great villain to see on screen. So yeah. One and One Podcast agrees with me. So I need some Philadelphia in my life, man. And I'm also excited for Bitterroot. Yes, Bitterroot next week, I think. I think it's next week the book comes out. So yeah. I was and I remain impressed with BCL and BCL skits. It's always positive, informative, and focused on the love of the art. The grass is greener on this side. Thank you. We try. We try. We're not a monolith. We all are different. We have our opinions or whatever, but we try to keep it positive. Michael Acevedo said, yeah, Joni Turner Smith has the look for Storm. Yes. What else we get? Behind the scene, what's going on? What up, BCL fam? There have been horror movies and movies ahead aimed at Latino audiences that haven't had too much success in the box office, just not the comic books. You know what's interesting though, that mainstream success is hard to come by. I'm gonna be honest with you. Mainstream success is hard to come by. You have to be someone who is a real fan of certain artists or whatever to really follow it. Because some of this stuff, if you go on, say, Netflix to behind the scenes point, and by the way, Dion, congratulations on your award, man, for the movie that you did, Jim Bros, for comedy. That's solid, bro. Salute. You can see many different demographics being represented in the horror comic space. I mean, in the horror space, I should say, or in the drama space. Like, for example, Koreans. Koreans have a big presence on Netflix. They have a lot of amazing shows on Netflix. And I'm gonna be honest, as someone who discovered Nollywood a few years ago, I remember watching Nollywood and would not change the channel. I was watching movie after movie after movie after movie. And it was because I just kind of saw a cable channel, independent channel that was playing these Nolly movies all day. And I would just sit there and I would watch them. And that would be my entertainment. I wasn't watching mainstream TV. I was just watching a bunch. So some of this stuff needs to just get exposed. Exposure, is so important. H&A says, last night's BCL segment with Stranger Comics touched on this. Maybe mainstream or major media validation is not the end all be all. I don't think it is either. I do think that everybody wants that success. Everybody wants that props. Who doesn't want to make a bunch of money? Who doesn't want to be popular? Who doesn't want to have their art appreciated? The more the merrier, right? And so it's one of those things where, I enjoy regular movies, but every now and then I want to find something that's independent that I know a lot of people have not watched and try to get something out of it. And of course, there are always levels to this. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to find always a stellar 5-star movie or whatever, that kind of thing. But you can find some quality stuff. You just have to look for it. And again, it's like the industry itself. For us in comic books and Black comic books or whatever, we are aware of, brands like Godhood Comics. Godhood Comics is not a mainstream comic company. But they make some dope books though, right? Bitterroot is a quote unquote, as popular as it is, it's still an independent title that everybody doesn't know, even though it's won an Eisner. It's levels to this thing. And so, I don't think mainstream success is the end all be all. But if you want to be taken serious, if you want to be do good work, for example, look at Spike Lee, for example. Spike, made a lot of movies. Some of them were great. Some of them were not so great. but most of his movies made you think. Most of his movies were entertaining and inspiring. But Spike doesn't get brought up as one of the quote unquote best directors in the world. He doesn't get brought up. Tyler Perry, for what he does, his genre or his demographic, his fans, whatever, they are significant. I mean, dude was able to build build a studio in Atlanta where Marvel movies get made. So he wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but he was somebody's cup of tea. And so, if nothing else, you from that inspiration, that if you do good work and you have a niche that is supportive and that will rock with you, you can get a lot done. The Damon says the constant stirring of white men and in white readers is what makes specking on black books / character extra speculative. Yeah, it is what it is, bro. I mean, look, this is a book that I just copped. It is Fast Willie Jackson, #1. Okay, this is a important black key. Now, white folks, you may never see this book on your favorite local, or I should say your favorite YouTube channel. Comic Tom may not ever carry or talk about Fast Willie Jackson, but we do. It's specific to us. And because it's specific to us, the spec on it is going to be, it's like Evan. You know what I'm saying? There are white people who have owned copies of Evan. All of these things, if they hit people's radar, people gonna collect it. He says, Rich, what is your most underrated Black Panther, Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Superman, Batman, or Black Adam story? You ask a lot, bro. Okay, so let me see. Let me start with, say, Black Panther. Most underrated. Most underrated Black Panther story? I don't know if there is one. The Black to the Future, Black Panther annual #1 kind of comes to mind as far as being underrated. Black Panther fans know it. Black Panther fans have it. But the reason why I say it's underrated, because some of the stuff that's in that book, particularly with T'Challa and with his grandchildren and that kind of thing, speaks to the future of Black Panther. So I think that Black to the Future by Reginald Hudlin is probably the most underrated, comic book that I could put out there. I'm gonna get you in a minute. Bring that back up there. I want to fully answer. Captain America. Captain America has a story with I think it's Isaiah Bradley. I'm trying to think, what number is that? There was a Captain America annual. Anthony, matter of fact, is Paul here? I don't know if Paul's here with us tonight. But there's a Captain America. I can't think of the number of the story, but there is a Captain America. I think it's an annual. Matter of fact, I don't know why I got annuals on my brain, but I think there's a Captain American story with some Latino boxers in it. There's basically a story where Cap is there's something going on. God dog it. If I knew the number of it, it would jar my mind. But I'm thinking of that story with, Man, that's a hard one. Let me just pass that one up. As far as Hulk, Hulk, they did a Hulk special #1 with matter of fact, this was when Al Ewing was on it. And it was called something Monsters. I think that it was, man, you're gonna make me work tonight, bro. Let me see. You put me to work. Okay, Paul says he's here. But there's a Captain America annual, I want to say, that has Latino characters in it. That was a great story. I just can't get what number that was. But as far as Hulk, there is a one-shot. It's a one-shot that I'm thinking about. Where's my CLZ? That ain't what I want. Okay, there we go. Not the story with the battling Bantam. That might be it. Captain America Annual #12. I do believe that's it. I did like that story. I did enjoy that story. But as far as Hulk goes, okay, why is my CLZ not lining up? CLZ is trash when I need it. When I don't need it, it works fine. But as far as Batman goes, one of my favorite Batman stories is the War of Jokes and Riddles. I think people don't talk about that story enough. There are some amazing Batman stories, but I think the War with Jokes and Riddles is amazing. And basically, it's a war between Joker and the Riddler, and Bruce Wayne has to kind of pick a side. So I think that story arc is amazing. My favorite Joker story, I'll just throw this in, is The Devil's Advocate by Chuck Dixon. An amazing story. It's basically a story about the Joker gets accused of a murder, and Batman has to come to the Joker's defense and, research and find out who's the real killer. This time the Joker decides not to kill nobody. Yeah, Chuck Dixon does an awesome job in that as well. Superman's story. Superman Lost was a good story by Christopher Priest. I think it was like 12 issues. And I think that one was up for an Eisner, matter of fact. That came out just a couple years ago. I don't really have a Black Adam story off the top of my head. But yeah, as far as Iron Man, nothing really strikes me at the moment. There's not really, Paul's our Iron Man guy. And Herschel's our War Machine guy. So they probably have more Iron Man stories that they think would probably fit to answer that question. So I really can't answer that as far as Iron Man and Black Adam goes. Although I did halfway enjoy the Black Adam story by Christopher Priest. I think he did okay, but I don't think it was just stellar. It was okay, though. Now, 1-on-1 podcast, I don't care what anyone says, the new G.I. Joe is amazing. Well, you're getting no argument from me. I do say, though, my favorite read of the week, my favorite book that I read this week was the Miles Morales book, bro. What did I do? Miles Morales. Actually, it was 2 books this week. I enjoyed X-Force #9 by Jeffrey Thorne. That was dope. Shout out to our guy Jeffrey Thorne. But this Miles Morales 31 with Deadpool was pretty amazing. It looks like a Nazi's gonna be around a while. So I'm definitely digging the Anansi aspect to his story. So shout out to Cody Ziegler doing that. Now, Milan says, I just searched the site and the character name Absolver looks dope. Yeah, Absolver is dope. You'll definitely dig Absolver. Absolver is dope, and don't sleep on Acolyte. Don't sleep on Acolyte. Ultimate Black Panther 14 was dope. I thought it was cool for what it was. It's interesting. The direction that they're going. Vibranium, living vibranium or dark vibranium or whatever. So T'Challa's got to put on this suit that doesn't have any vibranium in it so he don't get influenced by the dark vibranium. I think that's a pretty interesting take on it or whatever, but okay, let's see what you do with it, Brian Hill. So yeah. Yep. So 1 in 100 podcast notes that, the Blood Cynic has mostly Latin characters in the story. Yeah. According to Ivan Velez. Oh yeah, absolutely. They are. So, Brother Rodney, please. Yeah, somebody get Rodney Barnes on the phone and ask him when we go. Angel knows Rodney. Hey, yo, where my Philadelphia at, bro? Where my Philadelphia? That's the book I'm waiting to come back. Philadelphia. I'm also waiting for Nita Halls to come back. He says, I think eclectic. What's going on? He says, think the manga style like art that some Black indies use is the main reason I have avoided certain Black indies. I am more of a visual person, and the art is what grabs me first. I think that's true for most comic book people. Cover art is very, very important. I don't like the bait and switch thing where, you spend all your budget on the cover and then I get to the interior art and it doesn't look like the art that's on the cover. Some comic fans are okay with that. I'm not one of them. You're literally selling me this cover, but please buy my comic book, just don't open it type deal. I'm like, I want the art on the inside to be dope as well. And here's the thing about cover art. I have no problem with different styles of art. I'm okay with Jason Sean Alexander's style of art on a cover. I'm also okay with Jason Sean Alexander's art in interior. I'm like Sanford Green. When I get a Sanford Green comic book, I know that it's a Sanford Green comic book because the art that if he does the cover, the interior art's gonna look the same. That's what I want. That's what I need in my life. What up, Ray? He says, I prefer straightforward action, packed, layered, all ages action / adventure, heroic, superhero comics. Yeah. And that's cool. That's cool. I think that, genre driven, buy what you love, collect what you love, read what you love. That's my thing. I can't recommend something to someone I know that's not their genre. It makes no sense. In Black Comic Lords, we tell y'all to buy. We recommend certain books to y'all. And if you buy the books, great. And if you don't, you know what I'm saying? Either you may not have the money for it, or it's not your style. It's not your thing. If you're not into fantasy, I'm not expecting you to buy a Stranger Comics book. It's not, because Stranger Comics does fantasy books. That's what they do. That's what they're known for. If you just like capes and cows, and you buying, you're not going to buy, you may not buy a horror comic. You know what I'm saying? Me and Hershey used to go back and forth all the time. Hershey would never touch a Philadelphia book. I was like, man, you need to read this. You need to get this. He was just strictly capes and cows. And then Philadelphia blew up. And I look like a genius in that aspect. But yeah. So OG says, 1 in 100 Podcast says, OG, you need to find a way to see Magazine Dreams. It was so good. Okay, let me write that down. Magazine Dreams. Okay. Yeah. I you know what? I was speaking of watching stuff, man. JT already got his was the Bitterroot this week is fire. Okay. Well, shout out to you, JT. You know, so I want to be like JT when I grow up. You know what I'm saying? I get all the comic books a week early. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing, man. That's dope. But I had picked up, well, I didn't pick up, but I subscribed to Apple TV for a week. Signed up for the free trial. I've had Apple TV before, but I went through a different, streaming service to get the trial. And I watched a show called Dope Thief with Omar Tariq, I think that's his name. But very, very dope, man. I think I'm gonna have to sign up and get Apple TV so I can watch it. But it's basically about a couple of guys that best friends or whatever, and they are pretending to be DEA agents, which means they robbing dope dealers. You know what I'm saying? They robbing dope dealers even though they're pretending to be DEA. And of course, they robbed the wrong people. And so now, you know what I'm saying, you got to deal with the fallout of that. So that was dope. I watched the first 2 episodes of it. It was amazing. And by the time I got to see it or whatever, a 3rd episode came out and then my trial ended and I didn't pick it up. So I may have to go on and grab Apple Plus and check out the whole show. Behind the Scenes says, I'm not usually into fantasy, but Niobe by Stranger Comics, I enjoy sharing what you like about something and telling others is super important. Exposure in this day and age is a major hurdle. It is. And here's the thing, too. When, one of the things they talked about on Stranger Comics was that, Niobe is going to be a show, and The Untamed is going to be a show. Sebastian talked in detail about this on yesterday with the Black Comic Lords. And so some people are going to be able to see it on this medium, whether it's TV, movies, or whatever. They'll be able to see it and they'll go pick up the comic books later. Because let's just be honest, television and movies are king. People, everybody doesn't like to read. That's the one thing I have to understand about fandom, casuals, and all that. It's like, give me the movie. You know what I'm saying? Why do I need to read the book? Just give me the movie. And then when people that are astute or have read the book, most of the time when people see something on screen, they enjoy it. But if you talk to someone that's perhaps read the book, they will tell you, oh, the book was better. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But when stuff gets to mainstream or whatever on that level, and it's in a medium, a visual medium or whatever, you know what I'm saying, it has a chance to do even better. You think this is crazy. Wait till Philadelphia gets to the big screen or little screen. It's going to blow up for real. Behind the Scenes says, we're waiting on Philadelphia and I'm still salty. The Showtime story of the Lakers didn't get picked up a 3rd season. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I really do not know. I know that Rodney didn't make any friends. People had a lot to say about that portrayal or whatever, but you know what they say, where there is smoke, there is fire. So, but yeah. Well, at least we got 2 seasons out of it or whatever. So there is that. It is what it is. It's Hollywood. They're fickle. Samana says, what are your thoughts on the 3 faces of Joker and Joker Wars? Okay, well, I didn't really care for Joker Wars. The 3 Jokers I thought was an okay story. I think that it could have been a lot better, in my humble opinion. I enjoyed it for what it was. I kind of wish they would have kind of kept it going a little longer, to be honest. Joker War, in my opinion, was not the strongest story arc for Tinian. Because I think Tinian wrote Joker War, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't think it was Chip Zdarsky. But it may have been Zdarsky. I'm bugging. But yeah, I just know that wasn't really a strong story arc, in my humble opinion. But the three Jokers were of the two. I prefer the three Jokers. Yeah, and part of that could be because it was Black Label book. Damon says my favorite part of Jokes and Riddles was watching Batman beat down Deathstroke and Deadshot at the same time. They can't tell me that Batman ain't a bad. Hey man, Batman's that guy. People hate Batman, but you don't want no smoke with Batman. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. You know, when it comes to Batman, all you got, if Batman got prep time, man, you better leave the country. Matter of fact, you're not even safe on the planet because Batman will find you. So yeah, the collector says the Energon universe is definitely doing this thing. You know, the Energon universe is amazing in itself. There's some new stuff out here, y'all, that is very entertaining, but doesn't get kind of, highlighted. Now, I'm going to make a confession. I have not got into the G.I. Joe story. I did read Cobra Commander, and I did read Deathstroke, because I like villains. Villains, that's a guilty pleasure for me. And I probably should not like the bad guy, but when it comes to comics, I kind of do. But Deathstroke and Cobra Commander was some amazing books. And so I'm going to probably have to pick up the first volume in a trade, Amir, when it comes to G.I. Joe. But yeah. And the reason why I'm a Deathstroke fan is because of the cartoons. Paul says, I told you Miles Morales was dope under Cody Ziegler. You did. You did. You did. You did. You did. You did, Paul. You did say that. So I wonder if they forgot that there's a spy storyline in Ultimate Black Panther. It's definitely floating under the radar. We'll see how it Brian Hill is such a good writer. Gotta say, man, it's just amazing. But look, guys, real talk. We're gonna get ready to wrap this up. Damon says, real talk from Tom McFarlane. He can sell a badly written book with awesome art faster than he can sell a book written by Shakespeare but drawn by his mom. Visuals are important in comics. Yeah, well, Tom McFarlane, I gotta say, bro, the Deadly Tales of Gunslinger and King Spawn, those are some good books. The Spawn book is okay. I enjoy King Spawn better, but I'm definitely enjoying the Deadly Tales of Gunslinger. This last issue number 3, I want to say, where I put it, was pretty good, man. Pretty good. Issue number 4. So the Tar Father makes all his money on action figures. He gets rich off of y'all like that. But look, I got to bring this to a close, y'all. It's been fun. It's been a blast. Please collect what you love. Please collect what you love. Please remember to like, share, subscribe our content. We thank you. And even though I didn't get a super chat tonight, I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna celebrate. With that said, I'm gonna hit you guys with the benediction. And the benediction comes from Psalm 37 and 37. It simply says, mark the perfect man and behold the upright. For the end of that man is peace. From the stronghold that is Black Comic Lords and Black Superheroes Forever, it's your boy Rich. And until next time, we say peace. We'll see you in a few days. We out.